Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Charlie. On today's episode, I'm going to be showing y'all how to make my delicious New Orleans Crawfish Ravioli. Look at that. Don't that look good? This recipe was inspired by the Copelands Crawfish Ravioli. Now, this is made with homemade ravioli. It's not the package or anything like that. And the filling consists of a cheesy crawfish filling. It's lightly battered and then fried in hot oil. And after the ravioli is fried, we top it with a homemade and delicious and creamy crawfish sauce. This recipe serves about 2 to 4 people. It's a great dish to serve during crawfish season right here in New Orleans. It's flavorful, full of crawfish tails, and it is absolutely delicious. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, here's all you'll need to make your New Orleans Crawfish Ravioli. Let's get started with our ingredients. You'll need 1 pound of Louisiana crawfish tails, semolina flour, all-purpose flour, Italian breadcrumbs, 1 large egg, heavy whipping cream, unsalted butter, olive oil, vegetable or canola oil, shredded Parmesan cheese, mozzarella cheese, and for your seasonings, you will need some green onions, garlic, and for our additional seasonings, you will need some salt, black pepper, Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning. Now, if you don't have this, you can use the Zatarain's Creole seasoning or the Sapper Mama Cajun seasoning. You'll also need some Chef Paul Seafood Magic and some crushed red pepper. And for your tools, you'll need a rolling pin and a pastry cutter. And there we have it. Alright, let's get started with making our ravioli. So in this medium-sized bowl, I'm going to add 3/4 cup of semolina flour, 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour, a half a teaspoon of salt, 1 large egg at room temperature, 5 tablespoons of water, and 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Now I'm going to take my spoon and stir all the ingredients together. I'm going to continue to stir this until the mixture forms a dough. Now, as you can see, the dough has started to come together. And from there, you just take your hands and just form the mixture into a dough. Alright, now I'm kneading the dough at this time. Now I'm going to knead the dough for about 8 to 10 minutes by hand. No mixer or anything like that. Alright, y'all, it's been about a full 10 minutes now. I'm going to wrap the dough very good with some plastic wrap. And from there, I'm going to let the dough rest for about 20 to 30 minutes. Okay, while the ravioli dough is resting, we're going to chop up the seasonings. So here I have a bunch of green onion. I'm just going to chop that up. Make sure you chop up the ends to your green onion as well. Okay, here I have 2 cloves of garlic. I went ahead and cut them in half. Here I have a garlic press. From there, I'm just going to press the garlic. There we go. All right, here we have our cheese shredder. And I have 4 to 5 ounces of our mozzarella cheese. And I'm going to just go ahead and shred that. And there we go. And this is how our mixture looks when it's done. Preheat your fire to medium heat. Okay, let's make our crawfish sauce. So in this large saucepan, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter. I'm going to just spread that around. And I'm going to let that melt. Alright, and to that, I'm going to add 1/4 cup of our chopped green onion. This is the green onion ends, of course, that I'm adding in here. Now I'm going to go ahead and give this a quick stir. And I'm going to let this saute for about 2 minutes, stirring occasionally. And to that, I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of our pressed garlic. I'm going to just give this a quick stir. Add your 1 pound of crawfish tails. And I'm going to just give this a quick stir. Y'all, my crawfish tails are still a little bit frozen here, so I did let it thaw out just for a little bit. As you can see, that's coming along wonderfully as I stir it. So, all right. Okay, now let's add some seasoning. I'm going to sprinkle about 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt, 1/8 of a teaspoon of black pepper, about 1/8 to 1/4 teaspoon of Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning, 1/4 teaspoon of Chef Paul Seafood Magic, and 1/4 teaspoon of the red pepper flakes. Now, if you don't like a lot of spiciness, then you can omit this from the recipe. Stir all your ingredients together. I'm just going to let this simmer for about 30 seconds to 1 minute. Alright, it's been about 30 seconds to 1 minute now. Alright, that looks good. Alright, next you're going to take about 1.5 ounces in weight of the crawfish tails and you're going to add that into this small bowl. This is going to be used for our filling for our ravioli, so you're going to set this on the side. Next we're going to add 2 cups of heavy whipping cream. Now the thing about heavy whipping cream is you want to cook this for a short period of time. You don't want it to let it simmer for too long because it'll turn into oil if you overcook it. Now I'm going to go ahead and give this a quick stir. Okay, next we're just going to add just a little bit more seasoning, just a little tiny bit. So I'm going to sprinkle about 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt, just a little sprinkle in there. About 1/8 of a teaspoon of Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning. 1/8 of a teaspoon of black pepper, and 1/8 of a teaspoon of Chef Paul Prudhomme's Seafood Magic. Now I'm going to go ahead and give this a quick stir. We don't want to add too much of seasoning in here because with the seafood and the heavy cream, it's very easily to over season it, and you don't want it to be salty or anything like that. Alright. Now I'm going to let this come up to a simmer. Alright, now that our crawfish sauce is starting to come up to a simmer, this is very important. So what you're going to do now is you're going to add 3 heaping tablespoons, that's about close to 1/4 cup, of our shredded Parmesan cheese. Just add that in there. Alright, so now I'm going to take my spoon and I'm just going to stir all the ingredients together. Let this simmer for about 3 to 4 minutes, stirring occasionally. Alright, it's been about 3 to 4 minutes now, and as you can see, our crawfish sauce has thickened. This is exactly what we're looking for. Now you're going to go ahead and turn your fire off. Alright, now for some quick tips, your sauce will thicken as it cools. Now if you want your sauce to be a little bit more thick, you can add about 2 to 3 additional tablespoons of the shredded Parmesan cheese right on in here, and then mix it together. But overall, it should be able to thicken on its own as it cools. Now as a final garnish, I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of the chopped green onion right on in there. And then give it one last final quick stir. And there we go, our crawfish sauce is ready. Now you're going to let this cool until it's warm, alright? Alright, let's prepare our cheese filling for our crawfish ravioli. So in a small food processor, remember the shredded mozzarella cheese that we shredded up. We're just going to add that in there. And to that, we're going to add about a tablespoon of the shredded Parmesan cheese. Remember the 1.5 ounces in weight of the crawfish tails from the crawfish filling that I told you to reserve. We're just going to add that in there. Next, we're going to add a little bit of the green onion that we chopped, just a small amount, about a teaspoon of that in there. And for flavor, I'm going to sprinkle about 1/8 of a teaspoon of Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning. Pulse this about 12 to 15 times or until the mixture starts to come together. And from there, our cheese filling for our ravioli is ready. Okay, next we're going to take our filling. We're going to take a small amount and add it into the palm of our hand. And we're just going to form this into a ball. It should come together, as you see here. All right, now each one of these should be about 0.3 ounces in weight. All right, and there we have it. Once done, you should have about 16 to 20 of these. Now I'm going to place these in the refrigerator so that way they can stay cold. I'm going to lightly flour the surface of my table. And from there, I'm just going to add my dough on top of the table, like that. And from there, I'm just going to form this into a rectangle as best as I can. Now I'm going to take my rolling pin and I'm going to roll this out into a 28-inch long by 8-inch wide rectangle. Now do this the best way you can. You want to make sure, you also want to make sure that the dough is rolled in. Alright, and there we have it. Our dough is 28 inches long by 8 inches wide. Okay, as you can see here in the middle here, I've created some slits. This marks the very center of the dough. So once we cut this in half, we're gonna have two halves. This side gonna be 4 inches, and this side gonna be 4 inches. So I'm gonna just take my knife, and I'm just gonna carefully cut through the dough. Just follow the grooves, just like that. Okay, here I made a few more slits along the center of the dough, and in between each slit is 2 inches. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, and so forth. All right. So now I'm gonna just take my knife and just cut through the grooves, just like that. Now, as far as these end pieces, you're really not going to worry too much about these unless you can fold them over. But other than that, we're not going to really worry too much about them. And once done, you should have about 20 to 22 pieces of dough all together. But each piece should be 4 inches in horizontal, about 2 inches plus 1/16, just to be on the safe side. All right, here I have some water. Now we got to create a seal for the ravioli. That's going to prevent the oil from seeping into the filling. The same side that we're going to be putting the filling on. So I'm going to give you a demonstration. Let's say, for instance, we're putting the filling on this side, like that. Okay, so what we're going to do is make sure your hands are clean. I know mine is. You'll take your finger and you're just going to glide it along the edge of the ravioli. Just on one side, not the whole thing, just on one side like that, until it has like a pasty white foam texture. That's exactly what we're looking for. Now you also want to do it on this part right here too. Add the filling right in the center. Flip it over. Try to press that filling down just a little bit. And then from there, take your fingers and just seal the dough. And from there you take the filling and just supply a little force and just press it down a little bit. Make sure that the seal is good to go. Take the pastry cutter, basically cut a square. Remove the excess. And there we have it. Our ravioli piece is ready. And once done, you're going to take your ravioli and place this onto this 11 by 17 inch baking pan. Now I want to give you another quick tip here. Before you place your ravioli in here, you're going to take your 11 by 17 inch baking pan and you're going to place it into your freezer for about 10 to 15 minutes. And then as you prepare your ravioli, you can place your ravioli on here so that way it can keep the ravioli cold. And that way the seafood that's inside the ravioli won't go spoil. Okay, so you don't want to leave seafood out for too long. All right. Preheat your fire to medium heat. If you have a deep fryer, preheat it to 350 degrees. All right, let's get started with heating our oil. So I added 48 fluid ounces of canola oil into this medium-sized 4-quart pot. You can also use vegetable oil as well. And you want to add the amount of oil according to the instructions on your deep fryer on how much oil to add. Now I'm going to let this get hot until the oil reaches a temperature of 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Now before we fry our ravioli, make sure you have a cooling rack with an 11 by 17 inch baking pan underneath it, because once we finish from frying our ravioli, we're going to add it right on there. All right, here I have 1 large egg at room temperature beaten, and I have a pastry brush. And from there, I'm just going to lightly brush both sides of the ravioli with the egg wash. All right, here I have some Italian breadcrumbs. This is about 1/3 to a half a cup of that in there. And from there, I'm just going to take the ravioli piece. I'm just going to dip it in there like that. It's a light coating. You don't need it too much. All right, and from there, our ravioli is ready to be fried. And from there, I'm just going to take the ravioli and add it into the hot oil. And from there, I'm just going to take the ravioli and add it into the hot oil. And from there, I'm just going to take the ravioli and add it into the hot oil. And from there, I'm just going to take the ravioli and add it into the hot oil. And from there, I'm just going to take the ravioli and add it into the hot oil. And from there, I'm just going to take the ravioli and add it into the hot oil. And from there, I'm just going to take the ravioli and add it into the hot oil. And from there, I'm just going to take the ravioli and add it into the hot oil. And from there, I'm just going to take the ravioli and add it into the hot oil. And from there, I'm just going to take the ravioli and add it into the hot oil. And from there, I'm just going to take the ravioli and add it into the hot oil. And from there, I'm just going to take the ravioli and add it into the hot oil. And from there, I'm just going to take the ravioli and add it into the hot oil. And from there, I'm just going to take the ravioli and add it into the hot oil. And from there, I'm just going to take the ravioli and add it into the hot oil. And from there, I'm just going to take the ravioli and add it into the hot oil. And from there, I'm And you're going to let this fry for 3 minutes. Alright, it's been about 3 minutes now. I'm going to take a measuring spoon. I'm just going to pick up the ravioli out of the hot oil. And I'm just going to wait a couple of seconds just to let some of the oil drain. And from there, I'm going to place it onto a cooling rack with an 11 by 17 inch baking pan underneath it. Let this cool for 4 minutes. And from there, take your ravioli and place it onto a serving plate and pour the crawfish sauce right on top. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. New Orleans Crawfish Ravioli, made by New Orleans native. If you like my channel, hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell button if you want to be notified of my videos. I have an official website for all of my recipes, including for this delicious homemade crawfish ravioli. You can go to www.charliethecookandrews.com. You can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter under the name Charlie the Cook Andrews. Stay tuned as Charlie's Taste Test is coming up next. Can't wait. Now it's time to go ahead and take a bite. Man, I feel like I'm at Copelands eating this. Alright. Let's see, I don't even know where to start. Oh my goodness, I got so much on my plate. Man, the flavor of this dish, I mean, it is absolutely delicious. It has a wonderful crawfish flavor. And that ravioli is nice and toasty on the outside. And you got that cheese crawfish feeling on the inside. And you got that creamy, well-seasoned crawfish sauce. Man, boy, when I tell y'all this is delicious, it is good. Oh, anyways, give the recipe a try. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, have a good one. Peace.